Hey MGTOWs, this is Vention. Enjoying, I think, my third or fourth day of retirement. Let's see, Thursday was effectively day one. Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Okay, well, I think this is probably the third day of my retirement. Gotta love that. Ow, ow. Also love what Bitcoins are doing. Pumping up to about 8,500 or so. I've had this lawnmower jammed in my tool shed for about 6 years. I pull it out like once or twice a year. As you can see, the cobwebs. But if I'm going to liquidate this thing, I'm going to need to get it running. Just verified that we have spark. Now I'm going to go for fuel. It's probably a clogged float bowl in the carburetor again. If I was going to hold on to this thing a long period of time, I would get a fuel filter for this fuel line and probably stick it in like right about here. And then I wouldn't have to worry about this again. Yeah, good times. Well, I'm on another fast. Now that I'm retired, I can actually fast without having to work. And man, that kicked my ass. Last time around on day 5 of my fast, I was still working and I was starting to run out of gas. And then I made it through Saturday and Sunday, but then my Monday, I was either going to have to call in sick or I knew I couldn't work. And also, I kind of broke the fast because I was about to throw up from eating those supplements. And if I did that, I didn't want to do that. So I went ahead and broke the fast. But this time around, I'm not doing technically what people would call fasting. Right now, I'm doing instead something I'm going to call medication fasting, because these medications I'm taking, especially like the modified fruit pectin, citrus pectin, that's some hardcore stuff. I know it's working. But if I take all those things on an empty stomach, as I tried last night, the only thing that'll happen is it'll just end up on the floor or in the toilet because I couldn't keep it down. So I have to take, a lot of them says take with food, so have to do it. So I went ahead and adopted a little bit of celery and a handful of walnuts for each big pill popping session. And basically that allows me to keep it down. And I'm convinced that modified citrus pectin works because basically I have a little bit of evidence. When I was on my previous fast, when you cut off food, glucose and glutamine to the cancer by just stopping eating, right? The cancer gets weak and starts to degrade. And on day 4 of my fast, pardon the graphic content here, but when I would sit down to take a number 2, right, I would get a lot of blood right after day 4. And that, to me, that was an indication that the tumor was breaking up and it was shrinking or starving or starting to lose its integrity, and that was causing the pieces to fall off, and then I would get a lot more blood. Then, of course, when I started eating again, it stopped, right? Until I started taking the modified citrus pectin, and after that it started again. And so I am convinced that that is a tremendous thing for the cancer. And also it's gotten great reviews on the scientific websites. There's some actual studies, and it shows pictures of the mouse tumors that they put in, and it showed a scan of that, and it showed like the stars in the sky, because it was a very metastasizing tumor that they introduced. And then they had 3 more control mice that didn't have, that had the modified citrus pectin, and it was just a couple of little dots, right? One of them was probably the original tumor. And so basically it, even with the most aggressive cancers against mice that have very little of an immune system, they're bred that way. Anyway, that allowed that citrus pectin, kick the shit out of the cancer. So I'm going to get as much fasting as I can without ending up throwing up all those pills all over the floor. And then I've got that, I've got a bunch of different things I'm taking. I'll make an overview of everything I'm taking to, just for posterity's sake. And basically, just to let, future MGTOW determine if this is a good course of action, or if they should just cut to the chase and go get chemo and radiation. In my case, I think I have a better shot with the natural methods. Boy, I've been looking, and that's about it for that. So I'm on day 2 of my fast. I'm still feeling pretty good, so I thought I'd fix a few things, do a little wheat string trimming, cut the grapes back a little bit to keep them from climbing all over the house. Yeah, things like that. And so that's about it for that. So also I've been noticing we appear to have had a nice little pump up above the 8,000 level. We're at a new 1 year high. I think we were at like 8,500 earlier, like a few minutes ago. Don't know what it is right now, but so basically, yeah. I mean, with the Bitcoins I already have and the conventional assets that I have, plus the 2 pensions and the value that I'll get from the house when I sell it. Basically, I'm sitting really well. I should get about 300 grand for the house, and my dad, so that, good times. It'll just be tossed in the bank. But the thing is, my old man is planning on going to his boyhood town, and he is planning to rent a place there, and that's all well and good, but I am strongly considering that when he does, and when I finally get this place sold, unless cancer is like an emergency and I need to head to Mexico like right now, basically I plan to go down there and purchase a house. I mean, I've seen some houses that are as good as this one for like 100 grand or 120, 115 grand. And I've also seen places that have a lot more acreage, like a couple of places on like 4 to 6 acres for, 100,000 or 98,000. I saw a place on like a manufactured home that's a little rough around the edges, but it could really be fixed up easily. And it was like $75,000, and it's on a lot that's twice the size of this place. And down there, the cost of living is crazy low. I mean, you still have normal medical costs, and a lot of the groceries that come in from out of town, of course, are very, are just as expensive as always. But basically, I could go get a dinner. Like, for example, if my dad and I go to breakfast at our local restaurant, it'll cost us about $42, right? For the both of us, not including tip. But if I do the same thing where he wants to move, it's like 20, 24, 25. And so yeah, good times. And then once I buy a place and get him situated, then I can take off to Mexico and do whatever I want to do there, or possibly the Philippines, or I'm not married to Mexico. But I do want to get this cancer wiped out first. But honestly, there's people who have lived like 20 years with 15, 20 years with cancer, as long as they had a decent lifestyle and didn't eat a bunch of Haagen-Dazs and Baskins and Robbins. They lived quite well and died from other things. So I'm calling bullshit on the oncologist's insistence that within a month I'm going to die if I don't get chemo and radiation. Yeah. So that's what I'm going to continue doing. I'm going to fast as long as I can up until maybe 21 days, if I can manage it. It's not going to be easy. But then, yeah, what is it that's worthwhile, that's easy? And basically tomorrow, I think my dad's running down to his boyhood house or town, and he's going to basically do the shop for some places to live. And when he's out of the house, I'm going to cover up all the food with sheets, like all the shelves with all those tasty sunflower seeds and whatnot. Completely cover it so I don't have to look at it. When I was on like day 6 of my previous fast, I'd be walking by and my eyes would just automatically scan over all the food on the shelves, and I was like, don't look, Vincent, don't look. So that's what I'm doing today. So I can't hardly wait to check the Bitcoin price. Any of you, any of my fellow MGTOW who have elected to come along with me on the crypto and Bitcoin journey, these are the days like this are the days where we are compensated for suffering through that horrendous, hideous, year-long, 18-month-long bear market, 15 months, something like that. But I kept the faith. I kept every single paycheck, I would dump $1,000 into Bitcoins, $2,000 a month, and sock it into the safe deposit box. And basically now, I mean, I knew once we crashed down from 6,000 to 3,000, I knew that was the bottom. So I just doubled down and bought every Bitcoin I could get my hands on. So, but now those Bitcoins that I purchased over the last 6 months are doing very well. Thank you very much. Not as much people being angry or harsh against Bitcoins these days. They kind of go quiet when the Bitcoin price starts shooting way up. That said, we could have a big pullback down below 7,000 or something. So a big bunch of whales and insider trading fractional reserve exchanges could just dump the price way down and trying to scare everybody out of their positions. But and those people who trade on exchanges, who do things like margin trading, man, if the margin is too high and they push the Bitcoin price down low enough, it will cancel it will liquidate their holdings, and they will lose everything on that trade, and or everything in that account. And I find that very sad. I prefer to just buy some Bitcoins every payday, sock it away, and then just wait another year or so, or do that for another year or two, rather than gambling on margin trading and in exchanges, putting your money in exchanges. It's just too dangerous. And I learned my lesson during the .com crash. Yeah, I don't do that. Tech stocks on margin. Yeah, I'm one of the people who tried that. Big mistake. Okay, MGTOWs, I'm going to go ahead and fix this fuel system on this mower, and don't get married.